Hi INFJs. So you know that famous quote, insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. Well, INFJs, we tend to get caught up in cycles. We get stuck in these cycles of overthinking, people-pleasing, self-doubt, and then we wonder why we still feel unfulfilled, unseen, or just plain old tired. But the truth is, if we want to feel better about ourselves, if we truly want to love who we are, accept who we are, we have to make different choices. So today, I'm sharing 5 things that as an INFJ, like myself, or autistic INFJ, that we need to stop. They're simple but powerful shifts that will help you step into that version of yourself that feels lighter, it feels more confident, and you feel more at peace being in your own skin. So welcome to my channel. My name's Trina. I'm an INFJ and I'm also autistic. I created this channel with hopes of helping people like myself, and I wanted to share resources, someplace I could share resources when I find things that work really well for me. So don't forget to check out the resource section I put in the description of this video. So welcome to my channel. I also help INFJs and autistic INFJs heal self-love through coaching, community, and classes. I hope you find my channel helpful. If you're returning, I'm glad you came back. I am so grateful for all my viewers. Before we get going, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I would really appreciate the support. Alrighty, let's get into this. I always find it interesting when somebody's talking about habits that we need to stop, because I find habits are very, very interesting. The way we will get caught up doing things in our life, we become our own worst enemy often, because we pick up on some pretty bad habits. And what is more interesting is some of the things that are bad habits for us might not be a bad habit for somebody else. It's just the way that it works, the way our thought patterns work, and the way that we do things that will end up being a very toxic pattern. And we will repeat these over and over again, and we won't even realize we're doing it. So that's what I find interesting. So let's dive into this. 5 things that we need to stop as INFJs and autistic INFJs so that we can get to that level of self-love, self-acceptance that we desire in order to live that life full of happiness, full of meaning, and full of purpose. Number 1, this is a huge one for me, or it was. Stop over apologizing. I apologize for everything. Everything. I would go grocery shopping. And when I started becoming mindful of how many times I apologized for just taking up space in this world when I was grocery shopping, it was phenomenal, crazy. We often feel a real strong need to apologize for living as INFJs and autistic INFJs, or for just being ourselves. Have you ever apologized for a moment when your true self was shown and people stopped and looked and it made you feel really uncomfortable and you're like, oh, sorry for being me, kind of thing, right? Chances are they stopped and looked because they seen the amazing part of you, but we didn't take it that way. I've been there, right? It's horrible. I apologize so much. Please understand this. You are worthy of being in this world. You are worthy of being here. And it's okay to own your place in this world without guilt. It's more than okay. It's what we need to do. Well, now you're probably wondering, how do I do this? Because I would have been like, okay, well, that's easier said than done, Trina, right? One little thing to do, and this is so much fun. I love doing this. I've done it, is a self-worth jar. Because we need to build that self-worth so that we stop apologizing for living, okay? A self-worth jar. So what I mean by that is get a jar. You could go to like a dollar store and get yourself a fancy jar, or you could just take a regular jar and decorate it. Whatever works for you, do it. Put it on your counter, and every single day, I want you to write down one thing that you like about yourself, or it could be one win, a small win. And when I say small, it could simply be, I got out of bed and got dressed today. Heck, that's a small win for some people. For some people, that's a big win, okay? Or write down one way you showed up for yourself and then fold it up and put it in the jar. Every day, do this. and it will start building your self-worth because you're acknowledging those good things about yourself, and it's fun to do. And when you start to see those little pieces of paper grow in that jar, it really triggers that part of your brain that really likes the gifts, it likes to see results right away. I can't remember the part of the brain at the moment. It just left my brain, what I'm looking for. But anyway, it's going to feed that part of your brain that's going to encourage you to keep doing it because it's going to like it. It's going to like that gratification. Number 2 is stop saying yes when we mean no. This is huge. And what is interesting is this is actually very serious because it can cause sickness in our body. If you want to learn more about this, Dr. Gabor Mate, you can find him on YouTube. He's all over social media as well. He talks about this and explains what it does in our body when we are constantly saying yes when we mean no, when we're doing things we don't want to do. It's quite interesting. He worked in palliative care and he's seen the connection. He's interesting. I think that you should go and give him a try, follow him, or read some of his books because it's so fascinating. When we're lacking boundaries, we can't say no. We have a hard time saying no. We exhaust ourselves because we're constantly showing up for everybody else, doing what it is that they want, and then we won't show up for ourselves. Plus, what is also interesting is when we are constantly saying yes and not no for ourselves, it is enforcing that story that we are not worthy. So it goes back to point 1 of stop over apologizing. It is enforcing that you're not worthy of it anyway, so apologize for just being you. So how do we stop this? One great way to do this, and this is super simple, is use a pause phrase. So what I mean by that is if somebody asks you a question, our first instinct often is to say yes. We'll just do it, yes, because if you're like me, you would have got, or at one point, I would have got like tense instantly. My muscles in my neck would have tensed up, my shoulders would have tightened up, I would have felt it in my tummy, and I would have felt very uncomfortable. So I would have just said yes so that I could move past this feeling that I had going in my body and this situation. I just wanted out of it, right? So instead of saying yes right away, we're going to feel all that tension. If you're like me, we got to feel it, but we're going to use a pause phrase. So instead of out of habit or guilt or just wanting to avoid those feelings of saying yes, take a deep breath. You can do it without them even noticing. That's fine. I don't care if people notice. And then say, let me think about this and I'll get back to you. Or another great thing to say instead of just saying yes when our body is saying no is, I use this one lots. Sounds great, but let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you. It gives us time to collect our thoughts, our feelings, feel the feelings that are uncomfortable, and it gets us out of that situation so that we can come back at our full strength and say, thanks for thinking of me, but no thanks, I can't do it right now. Number 3, stop ruminating on past mistakes. I did this all the time. And you know what? I will still catch myself doing this, but the key is I catch myself. We need to let go of perfectionism and that need to analyze past situations over and over and over again. I can't remember who said it. I think lots of gurus have said it, that especially if you're in the spiritual community, is the past doesn't exist anymore. That really gave me like the aha. When I heard that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It doesn't. So stop thinking about it, Trina. It doesn't exist anymore. It's done. It's gone. Let go of it. Choose forgiveness and take that small step forward. Now, I know as INFJs, we have lots of misconceptions over forgiveness, around forgiveness, I should say. I have done many videos on this. Go back if you would like and listen to some of them because it's quite interesting what we think forgiveness is, but really what it is. It kind of opens up a whole new idea around forgiveness. So what are we going to do about this? Let's create a lessons learned list. This is a great place to start and it's super easy. So what I want you to do is write down the mistake or situation that keeps playing in your mind. Write it down on a piece of paper. Then underneath it, write down at least one positive lesson or insight learned. It may not come to you at first, especially if you're in that dark zone of coming down on yourself all the time and really thinking you're worthless. So have compassion. And if it doesn't come right away, give yourself a moment or a few moments, even a day or two to think about it. Every situation has a positive insight or a helpful insight or a lesson learned if we allow ourselves to think about it. When we come up with it, write it down, cross out the mistake and write down your lessons learned. Write it over top of the mistake. You could use a different color if you want. I like to use colors, so my lessons learned sheet is very colorful because I like colors, but right over top of it, the lesson learned. It is reprogramming and rewiring our brain to see, instead of mistakes, to see them as lessons learned. I don't fear failing or mistaking anymore because making a mistake anymore because I know that I'm going to gain insight from it. So no matter what it is that I tackle, that doesn't hold me back anymore, feeling that fear of, well, what if I fail? What if I make this mistake? Oh, well, what if I do? I'm going to learn something from it. Nothing's lost. Number 4. We had number 4. Yes, we're at number 4. Stop masking our authentic self. INFJs and autistic INFJs, we use masking as a survival mechanism. That's what we do. We have done it since we were little. However, as an adult, it does not serve us at all. Actually, it will damage us massively. If you struggle with low self-worth and low self-love, which if you're watching this, I'm guessing you probably do, pay attention to how much you mask. Masking feeds that. It feeds our hatred for ourselves. It feeds low self-worth, self-love. It's just nasty. It does not serve us. Embracing our true self, as scary as that can sound, will lead to greater self-acceptance. It sounds scary. I know. I've been there. I'm like, no, I'm not. My true self, I stopped allowing years ago when I was little. I remember being in grade school, standing in the bathroom, looking in the mirror and getting so mad at myself and like telling myself to stop being me, stop being the stupid me, I would say to myself in the mirror. And I stopped allowing my true self to be seen years ago. So yeah, it was very scary. How do we do this? How do we allow that true self? Because that sounds like we're going to climb a mountain, and where do we even start, right? That's how I felt. Something fun that I did that worked really well for me, because I love music so much, is I created an authentic playlist. I read about this. This is not my idea. I read about this, but I can't remember where I read about it, but it worked really good. Plus, it really lifts that vibration up, puts us in a better state, and that's what we really need to really start rewiring our brain. So what I mean by an authentic playlist, I want you to pick songs that make you feel most like you, that make you feel like you can conquer things, that make you feel good in your own skin. Make a playlist of them. And then when you're alone in your house, or maybe you're with your kids, I did this with my boys, play those songs over again as loud as you can, and sing as loud as you can, and dance as hard as you can. Remember, you're alone. Nobody's watching you. I don't care if anyone's watching anyway. I will do it because I know how beneficial this is. Do it over and over. Any chance you can, do this with these songs, because when we are in situations with friends or coworkers and we are being mindful and we notice, I'm putting that mask on, I'm not being me, that's the cue to step back, quietly remove yourself from the situation, go back and listen to one of those songs, because that song is going to be the reset button that's going to reconnect you to your true self and remind you of who you truly are. And it's amazing how this works. As soon as that song plays, we'll be like, oh, yes, this is me. This is who I am. And then we can go back. You probably don't even have to listen to the whole song. Just takes a little bit to trigger that part of your brain. Go back and you can be your true self in the situation that you were just in. Number 5, this was huge for me. Stop seeking external validation. Didn't even realize I was doing it my entire life up until a few years back. Didn't know it was a thing. Start recognizing I'm fighting a cold. It's been a cold and flu season, this holiday season in our house. It's been one thing after another, and now I'm fighting a cold. So start recognizing, that's hard to say when you have a cold, start recognizing your own value rather than relying on other people's opinions for a sense of self-worth, a sense of worth. It's the worst thing that we can do is looking for our self-worth from other people, because chances are they're not going to see it. And if they do, they're probably not going to share it because they assume that you already know. Horrible. Because it will control our every action and our move. So when we do try something, when we do stick our toes out into the unknown that's scary and we're worried we're going to make a mistake and we're waiting for that validation from outside sources and they're not seeing the importance in it because it could be something so small, we don't get that validation, it'll shut us right down. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. Create a me first rule. So when we need to make a decision, when we're going to make a decision, what I want you to do is just pause and ask yourself, if no one else's opinion mattered, what would I choose? I do this all the time. Nobody else's opinion matters. What would I choose? Answer it honestly. This is the key. You have to answer it honestly or it's not going to work. Don't answer it based on what you think other people are going to want from you or what you think other people are going to think is really cool and you're going to get this validation from. Answer it honestly. Then follow through with your choice. That's another part of the key. Follow through, even if it's small. And I do recommend starting small, like picking out a meal, picking out clothing to wear, something small, and building up to the bigger things. I hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for sticking with me. And thank you for watching my video. I appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you're willing to share them. I love to hear them. Or email me directly. My email is in the resources section in the description of this video. Again, I invite you, if you haven't yet, to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate the support. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now.